Hey guys, welcome back to this week's video. This week we've bought the cheapest roof tent in the UK. I challenge you to find one cheaper. It needs some modification to make it fit. It has some holes in it. I know that contradicts one of my previous statements, but let's get on with it and let's show you what we need to do to make it fit the Mini. But first, let's show you who's going to pick it up, because it was a little bit slapdash and it, let's go basically. So, for you guys, this is now going to be in the past. However, we've been scouring Facebook Marketplace trying to find a bloody roof tent. And if anyone's looked for these, they'll know just how expensive they are. So for the cheapest sort of reasonably branded one, you are looking about £1,000, I'd say, used. Or new, you can get, I mean, the most expensive one we've seen is, I think it's about £4,000 for a tent. So yeah, we've seen one over near Ridge Roof, which for us is about a 40-minute drive, and in Cornwall, for things like this to pop up cheap is slim. So I have asked 0 questions. I have done 0 research. The brand is apparently one of the original brands that were used in Africa when roof tents kind of first came around. It's got holes in it. I think it fits the car. As you can tell, we're in the van. As you're watching this, we haven't even got roof bars for this project or anything. But when something comes up in Cornwall this cheap, this close, you kind of just have to say f it and ask questions later, which is now what we're doing. So we're taking Big Norm and we're off to get a roof tent for little Norma. So let's take you along for the ride. We've had 5 days of 30 odd degrees. We decided to go and buy this thing in the one time it decides to bloody rain in the last, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks.
And it just about fits on the bed. So yeah, don't slam on quickly.
So it's a big old roof tent, emphasis on the old. So after talking to him, it turns out the roof tent is actually 17 years old, I think he said. It's actually inside in very good condition. So when we said it had holes in it, which is what he showed, is actually the outdoor section near the ladder. Which is well and truly outside the roof tent, because it's got like a little porch area. So the fact that it's actually got a hole in doesn't really make too much difference to us for our application. Obviously we'll fix it and whatever else will make it look presentable. From the outside, I think it looks pretty smart. I think it looks pretty good. The cover needs a jet wash. I think it's been sat on top of the old Landy that you'll have seen in the footage for quite a while. The chap said he used it on his van beforehand as a bit of extra space. So yeah, bit of work. So we got it for the grand total of £450. Now that sounds a lot, but I'll talk you through this. So when we've been looking at roof tents, a new one from Tent Box is going to set you back, I think, £1,249, which that's steep. And I'm way too tight. In fact, we're both way too tight to pay that for a roof tent, especially when we have a van. Norm. So we've been hunting around for ages, and we were looking at going as far as Wales or even further. I mean, there was some up near Jess and John, like well up north. So we've been looking at going all over, and obviously in that point you've got to factor in wear and tear on the vehicle, you've got to factor in fuel, all the rest of it. There's a big cost disadvantage to going further afield. So the fact that this was 40 minutes from our house and we could go and see it, put eyes on it, shush, go could see it, put eyes on it without too much issue. It was very nice to go and do, and obviously we could take the van because it was just up the road. Typically, it pissed it down while we were there, just as we were looking around it. But thankfully, it stopped raining as we were taking it off. Right, so now that you've seen us collect the roof tent and you've seen what it is, this is a Howling Wolf roof tent, originally Australian brand, I think. Really good quality stuff, but a bit older. It's not new by any means. So, to mount it onto the Mini, you've originally got these rails here and here. Now, they land perfectly there, where the roof pack, foot pack is, which means you can't sandwich them onto the rail. So, I ordered Unistrut, as you can see here, to go on and replace these. Now the problem I've just found is that this base is so heavily integrated into the tent that it's going to take hours to dismantle. So I think what I'm going to do is, as you can see here, I've used, this is just temporary, I need to find some proper nuts, but this is T-track, and you can put an M8 in and slide it up and down. So I put one in there and I put one in over there, and you can see that now Unistrut is attached, and I think that's the method that I'm going to go with. Now, to make this look a bit tidier, because I understand that having one cross member that way, then one cross member the other way, it's probably going to look a bit messy. It's all going to get painted black in Raptor liner. We've got other accessories to go on this, so aux being sent as a care package, and we've also got those boxes there to go on, which are a terra firma low lid. Thank you to Douglas Adventures for recommended those, which are going to go on either the front or the back. I've not decided yet. But first, let's get the Unistrut mounted on both sides, let's get it measured up, and then we can get it cut to size, and we can get it mounted to the roof bars. So I'll put you down and we'll set up a time lapse. Okay, so now that we've got this cut off and we've got 2 lengths extra, we've got enough space here to put the boxes on, which are over there. So ultimately what this is going to do is sit in between the Unistrut once I put it to the right size, and we've got some T brackets and some L brackets to go on, which will then give us our base at the back to put the boxes on. The other thing as well is the reason we've used Unistrut is it's nice and strong. It also will bolt to this and the roof rack very easily, and we've got aux beam stuff to go on, which means that mounting lights to this all of a sudden becomes very easy, and you've got the perfect channel to put the wiring in. So yeah, no brainer. Let's get these cut to the right size, and then we can put T brackets on and the L brackets and get this whole section finished off. So this is what we're talking about when we say brackets. So ultimately these are going to go in the middle, which will then carry the strain lengthways and then pass it across. And then you've also got the angles for the back, which will then just tie it off nicely. So let's get these all fitted up. And then we've got the task of flipping the roof tent, which is going to be a mission to see what it looks like. So we've got the roof rack frame made up that the tent is going to mount to. So that's this here. Basically a 42mm by 22mm Unistrut with spring nuts in it and flat plates to attach it here. These are the terra firma boxes that I was talking about. We're going to mount those on the front. We have side light bars. We have a big front light bar to go on there, which should look cool. And then the roof tent is just over there. Now obviously we've got to first assemble this, and then we've got to paint it all. So we'll probably get it all on today, strip it down tomorrow, prep for paint, and then paint it tomorrow and go from there. Off camera, I've got boxes mounted up, they're all now on. The roof is also now attached, and to be fair, I don't think it's going anywhere. Now the boot comes up and clears that. The boot sits nicely there, and obviously if you get there you can see clearance. Now the roof tent should end slightly before this, so these may get nipped off, but I'll do that when I get ready to painting it. But that is what we're starting to look like. How cool is that? Now obviously we've got the light bar and whatever else to go on the front. We've got 360-degree lighting for this thanks to Walksbeam, so that'll be going on late this weekend. One thing I am going to do is chop those roof rails off where they need to be, because that looks dorky and there's no need for it to be there, and I think it'll look a lot smarter. Now the whole lot is going to get painted, because obviously this is steel anyway, so ignore the flex, that'll sort of get fixed once the roof tent goes that way, because it'll sort of cinch it all together. It's all going to get painted, this will get painted, this will get painted, the base of the roof tent's going to get painted as well in Raptor Black, so that's another job for this weekend. Obviously all these bolts will get trimmed down and whatever else, but yeah, that is the basic structure of the roof tent. So the next job now is to try and get that big onto the roof, which I'm not particularly looking forward to. I think that's going to be a bit of a nightmare, but yeah, we'll see. It weighs about 45 kilos, I think, so it's awkward to finagle at that height. But yeah, we'll wait for Tom to come back in, and then we'll get it on the roof.
Won't even try if it ain't you, babe. Done with goodbyes, look in my eyes, tell me you feel the same, don't act like this ain't a good time. I'll be in a lifetime. It's been like this for a while. I gave you all my life, stay till the sunrise when it's only us. Oh, let's be for real. Know you're scared to fall in love, but I want you still. I could put in all the work, but I'll keep you from hurting. Baby, I'll always be here, even in 100 years. I want you still. Cause I want you still.
Hello everybody. So Alex has just called me to let me know he's on his way back with the Mini. So let's see what he's been up to today. For those of you that might be shocked that I'm allowing us to do this project on my car, I'm sort of just going along with it at the minute, and I'm aware that I've still got to use it for work, so I'm a little bit nervous as to what this is going to end up looking like, but hopefully it will be cool. To be honest, at this point I'm just rolling with it. We've got a lot going on in life generally, so to be honest I don't care, and I'm sure it'll be fine, it'll be cool, and it'll all work out. Oh my god.
How cool is that?
To be fair, it does look pretty cool. It looks nuts.
I present you Norma in the earliest stages. Right, okay, so it's a bit windy, so you'll have to excuse it if you can hear the noise. But we're back home. I couldn't do much talking down storage because there was a lot of people coming and going, and there was just too much noise in the background. But we are on. So we've got 2 boxes on. We've got the tent on, which fits beautifully down the side of the car. Now, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to trim these off, both there and there. Obviously these will get moved around. We've got a lovely new Walksbeam lights on there. Thank you, Walksbeam. And we got these on. Now the downside is these rattle and move. I should have put a bolt in the front, but because of where this bar is, I couldn't get a bolt in. So what we're going to do tomorrow is move this backwards under here, get a front bolt in for these boxes that do that, and then this should also move it back, because at the minute I think the light bar looks a little bit obnoxious, just sort of hanging out the front like that. So I kind of want to sink it back a bit and hope that it doesn't, you know, I don't know, I just think it'd look better if it was sunk a bit. The other thing is this is all going to get painted black, so this whole framing here, everything, the roof bars, all of it is going to get painted black. How good does that look? It's day 2, all that's got to come off and it's got to get stripped, ready for paint. I've just taken it out on a motorway to 70 mile an hour. And we've got some rattles and we've got some whatevers, so I need to adjust it slightly, but we can do that off the car. But yeah, let's get to dismantling it. We've got uni-strut going under the tent. I've unbolted the tent, so in theory now we should just be able to lift it and it comes off. Let's see how that goes. As if I'd planned it. Look at that. And you just push the car out, put under it. Perfect. Now I just need to get a trolley, lower it down onto, and then we'll get the other rack off as well. That was better than I could have imagined it. So that's all trimmed down. So we've got that one down, that one's all trimmed down. The backs have now been cut off. You can see we lost sort of 25 centimetres, 30 centimetres off the back. Both of those have been cut and have been sort of ground down. So next thing, Scotch-Brite, and then we've got primer somewhere that I just had in my hand. So we'll start priming this. We've got Tom's picking up some materials on his way through because he lives the other side of the main town near us and he's coming here today. So yeah, we've got some prep to do. Hopefully by the time he gets here I've got to assemble the paint gun, which I've never done before. Thank you to John from True Blue, obviously, for the recommendation. We've got the gun ready to go. Never used one before, never sprayed in my life with an air compressor, or I've always used rattle cans. We've got those to do. So let's get to prepping and then let's get painting, and then tomorrow hopefully it'll be all dry enough and we can reassemble for the final fit on the car with it in its final trimmed down form, which I'm excited for. As you can probably tell, the frame is all prepped behind me. So I've ground down all the sticking out bolts. I have ground down any rough edges. I've Scotch-Brited the whole thing with the roughest Scotch-Brite I've got. And now it's time for a alcohol rub down. You've got to make sure whatever you're painting is clean. Now, one thing I realised completely off topic that I didn't explain yesterday is these. So this is called a spring nut, and you can get them in all kinds of different threads, but essentially what that does is pushes into the unistrut and it's got 2 channels which hold it in the center. And then when you put that in, you can essentially bolt anything down to it that spans the width of the unistrut. So they're a really useful bit of kit. You can get all sorts for unistrut. It's a very universal thing. It's used for electrical installs and a lot of plumbing installs. It's like our office, for example, has all the air conditioning units in an industrial unit hung from the ceiling on unistrut. So yeah, it's more of a building industry thing, which is why when you use it in automotive stuff, you've got to prep it. You can buy it galved and you can buy it pre-done in black. It costs a lot more, and I wanted a textured finished. So yeah, a little bit of elbow grease. Plus, actually, if you'd have bought it pre-done, you still have had to do all the ends, because everywhere you cut it is unexposed metal. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I think may as well do it yourself. Obviously, I know I'm lucky to have this and be able to do that. So yeah, right, let's try and get it hung somewhere. I'm waiting on some bits from Tom, because I'm going to use the engine crane, I think, when I come to properly spray it, to sort of hoist it. But I've got some eye bolts coming that I'm going to use again in the unistrut to hang it like a crate sort of thing. So yeah, I've got to work out how to do it. I can prime it because Tom should be here in the next sort of half an hour, 40 minutes. Okay, so Tom's just arrived and we've got it rigged up. So it's basically 4 eye bolts hooked to the engine crane, and we've now got it in the air. So next job, we need to prime underneath, and then we need to work out how the hell to use the spray gun. Cool, so everything's now in primer on here. Cars are masked off that need to be masked, and let's get the paint mixed up. We've got this eBay gun, so we'll see how good that is, but everything's covered down, everything's primed. So yeah, mixed paint for the first time, which I've never done. So yeah, let's do that. Right, time to get painting. We'll see how this goes. I'll put you far away because I don't want the camera covered in paint. Coat number 2. Coat number 3. Behind me is the finished rack. So it's now completely painted. It's got 4 coats on it and it is looking spot on. And you look at how good that looks. I am really happy with how that's come out with the first time spraying. Over the moon. We've got the bars done as well. They're sat down there somewhere on that trolley. So yeah, tomorrow, hopefully this will all hardened enough overnight and then we can get the whole thing back together. It'd be really cool to see it on the car, finalised, we get all the lights on, hopefully get them all wired up as well, but we'll see how much time we end up with. One thing I have found is that the rack tried ripping itself out the bars. So I took it obviously on the 70-mile-an-hour run this morning, and after taking it apart, I found that it's tried to pull itself out of the T-slot on the bars. So what I'm gonna have to do is get some U-bolts, like exhaust clamps. But yeah, I'll overlay some pictures of what I mean by it's tried to pull itself out. But yeah, other than that, first drive was a success. That's it for today. That's day 2 on the rack. I was really hoping to do something else this weekend, but yeah, day 2 on the rack, done and dusted. Let's head home and chill out for a bit. Then tomorrow, reassembly. It's day 3, I'm back down at the workshop, looking at it. It's all come out very nice. I'm really happy with the finish actually. It's not quite as textured obviously because we put it through a HLVP gun or HVLP, I can't remember which way around that is, with a 2mm nozzle. So for anyone curious, we use Raptor paint, and if no one's heard of that, it's essentially a texturized paint that in America is used a lot for truck beds and stuff like that. They send you a Schultz gun, which has a really massive nozzle on, which is how you often get a lot of texture. So what we did was, because I didn't want as much texture, because I want it to be easy to clean, which Raptor paint isn't from my experience that we've got on the van, I wanted it not as textured, but I still wanted durability and I still wanted a bit of a textured finish, like a hammered finish. An HVLP gun with a 2mm nozzle, and then you mix it up as suggested, and then we thinned it by 20%. So obviously just like another 1/5 on top of whatever you mix normally. Just spin it up, put it in a gun and shoot it out. And to be honest, the finish I am mega happy with. It's got a nice texture finish to it, a bit sort of hammered looking, but it's shiny rather than matte, and that's kind of what I wanted, because it's smooth to run like a car wash sponge over or whatever. So yeah, it's reassembly day. Let's crack on with that. I cannot wait to get this on the car with all the lights and see what it looks like. The other thing I did yesterday was cut down the length of the roof bars, which have also been painted in Raptor. And it's like a real nice sort of semi-sheen. You sort of see it reflecting there on it as I move it. So yeah, they've come out really nicely and should just look a bit smarter than the aluminium. And because it's not so textured, the foot pack still slides straight back on and moves nice and freely up and down the bar. Right, okay, so we're back. This is now different day, hence different clothes. Because the other day, the universe was telling me that it wasn't meant to be. Because I went and bought a selection of U-bolts. Now, I didn't have the bars with me at home when I measured this, so yeah, ended up with 1 out of all 7 that I'd bought actually fitted around the bar. So, yesterday, I got a delivery from Screwfix of many U-bolts and washers and whatever else, because it's something we've been lacking. So, we've got all the bits now to get the frame, which is here, on the car, get the roof tent mounted on, and then finally take it for a test drive and hope that nothing else sort of crops up. If it does, we can fix forward, but I'm thinking at the minute we should be spot on. So yeah, let's set you up, get the frame bolted on, hopefully without damaging any paint or anything like that, get it all squared up, and then we've got to try and get the roof tent mounted on using the lift. And I think that's going to be a interesting thing, is that, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, let's get you set up, let's get a time lapse going. We've got the rack mounted on, as you can see in the background. So what we've ended up doing is using U-bolts into here, which is slightly different from the end of the roof rails, but I'd rather it was safe than coming out. And to be honest, that now, touch wood, isn't going anywhere. The only thing that concerns me slightly is obviously now, instead of using a single hole for the T-track, it's now using double holes, so it essentially writes off 3 holes through the unistrut. Which, with measurements, the roof tent should fit about here and about here. So hopefully it should just fit in the middle. But having everything all black is looking so much smarter. And I just can't get over how cool those boxes look on the front. Roof tent is in the air once again. It's sat there. So now comes the task of trying to line the car up with these and trying to push the roof tent around without pulling the paint off. Because before it was easy, you just sort of slide it wherever the hell you wanted. But now there's paint on that, and I don't really want to drag sharp-edged aluminium profiling or channel across it. I've got to be pretty exact with where the car comes in, and I get the feeling this is probably going to take quite a few attempts. So we'll set you up and we'll see how many times it takes to get this done. It's on. How cool does that look? Honestly, that was easier than I thought it was going to be to get those bolts to line up. But yeah, it's in now, it's on. I've got to bolt it down, go through with some big washers. But yeah, it is on there, which is very cool. So we'll get it bolted down and then drive it out. Oh, it's getting exciting now. I can nearly open it. It's meant to be sunny today. Not that you would know it outside, but it is. So I reckon we'll have to get it opened up and see what it looks like. So it's all mounted up. I cut this shorter, so these boxes now technically overhang by that, but they have now got bolts in, so they don't go anywhere. The rack, now that it's been dropped by about, what do we work out, 4 inches, makes a big difference. That's not bouncing as much. And then the other key thing is the fact that it comes up and touches, but that's it. So that's it all the way up. And it pushes in, but it's not compressing and still get my finger behind. So yeah, win on that. The fitment is perfect. I'm not sure I'm happy with the silver U-bolts here, but there's not a lot I can do about that really. I think as a project goes, hopefully this is one of the more successful ones that I've done. It's all nicely fitted up. I didn't end up cutting the U-bolts down the end because, to be honest, they'd have made such a mess doing it on top of the car, and I couldn't really get close enough, and I've ended up taking paint off with the grinder, so I didn't really bother. And to be honest, now that it's on there and you've got the cover hanging down and whatever else, because there's a lip here that probably goes up about 15 mil, so you can't really see most of it anyway. But no, I am over the moon, howling moon, with how that's come out. And from the front, it looks pretty damn cool. It's nicely centered, but one thing that I love is the fact that it comes really nicely with the edge of the car. It really balances well, because the way it was meant to mount was the other way, and it just stuck out another 10 centimeters each side. So yeah, mounts up, looks good. That is it. I guess we better show you what it looks like outside. Get you some nice little glamour shots. We've made it home. I've taken it out because I needed to go to town. So it's had 2 runs, 4 runs, up to 70 mile an hour on the motorway locally. Without any issues. I've checked everything thoroughly when I've got back, and it's all looking perfect. So fingers crossed it'll be all right. Something we just need to keep an eye on over the next couple of weeks. Keep checking bolts, etc. Just make sure everything is happy. So we thought the way I was putting it up was a bit weird. The issue we've got is the ladder. So if I put it, just give me a challenge, one-handed. Let me put you guys down. There we go. So that's the angle the ladder needs to be at to hold it level. If you pull it out so that clicks and then put it at the right angle to be a ladder, we've sort of got that situation on, which doesn't work. So I need to drill some more holes in the ladder. It's essentially just 2 slide pins or spring pins that push through into the ladder. So let's quickly drill some holes in that, and then we can get all the sides pushed out and see what it looks like. It's a lot bigger than I remember it, if I'm honest. As you can see, the roof tent is now mounted. How cool is that? I love it. So we're going to save going through it too much for next week because we've got some repairs, we've got some bits and bobs to do on it before we sort of really show you it. But yeah, it's quite the chunk when you look at it. And it looks so cool with the boxes on the front. Look at that. So yeah, that is the setup. Annoyingly, I can't get the other pole in because of my lovely boxes. But yes, this is a Howling Moon 1.4 by 1.2 meter roof tent. So it's quite sizable. It's got a nice porch area here, and we do have the cover to go round. And then yeah, the roof tent actually starts up in there. But that's all we're going to show you for this week. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a bit of a mission to get that on. But yeah, it's been enjoyable. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.